Hello, David.
I
How are
think
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Pretty sure we're live, but we gotta wait a
Well,
second because it's still
Dominic,
black.
Dominic will let us know if we're live.
Dominic, you have to save us from ourselves. Yeah, we're live. It says live.
Yay!
We did bad today with the timer, and by we I mean me.
Ah, yeah.
Such is the way.
And then the dog starts barking.
Well,
So,
that's how going live works on the live stream. We got
oh,
we gotta get you some like what we got we got to get you some noise cancellation going down.
I just need to actually finish the ceiling and maybe seal the walls a little better.
Yeah. Noise
Yeah.
cancellation's way easier than all that. You just click a button. Button checked. Success. Well, it's the long weekend. Hello. Well, I guess
It is.
it's a long weekend
It's
in
long week.
Canada.
Yeah, I don't know where else it's a long weekend.
Yeah,
It's
like,
it's Victoria Day.
and if you don't know who Victoria is, she was a queen once upon a time. See?
Yes.
And she has a day that we appreciate because then we don't have to go to work.
We enjoy not going to work on
Woohoo!
holidays.
Right? It's great. It's
Yes.
good times. Um, but it's one of those things. It's a nice
Ooh,
weekend,
pardon me.
except in Canada, it's always snowing today, or
Uh,
raining, or threatening to rain, hailing, if you will, on the weekend. Mm.
Potentially,
It hailed yesterday. You were in
it
it.
did. It
Not
did.
potentially.
I have. Let's see. Let's see if I can do
Well,
an
he
impression.
does that. I'm gonna push the button and say some things. I'm gonna say thank you to our Patreon supporters, held at the top, but everybody on the list. You are super important to us. You keep things going like the website and fun projects along the side. We do have a hosted Discord server that is Patreon only. All levels of Patreon get access to it though. So if you head over to patreon.com/3dmake it, you can check out the link and the join and such like that, or you can spin over to www.3dmakeit.ca and check out all of our socials. But yeah, we sure appreciate you. Greg has a picture and it's his car. I'm gonna live interpret the picture. It's his car, and on the hood you can see hail.
Yeah,
It looks like
and all over the parking lot too. And
it's
then
smaller snow,
as
eh?
soon as it finally stopped, and my hood was completely white, it stopped, and then everyone got out of their cars and went into Home Depot.
It's always when you go to Home Depot.
Yeah. Well, the last time I had my car written off, I was at Costco.
Wasn't that the microburst?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
it
that was
was. It
good
was.
times.
It was. And then my house got damaged, and yeah,
Boo.
yeah, yeah. And then we sold it and had to deal with insurance on a house that we didn't own. That was fun.
That's always tricky. So you wanna fix it, but you don't own it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, the insurance had to fix it, so
yeah.
luckily there's only like 8 pieces of siding they had to repair on ours. Other houses they actually had no siding left. It was like crazy. Yeah.
It was a large wind. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, reverse tornado, basically. Reverse tornado.
Yeah. It was crazy. Anyway, we got stuff to talk about. You had a good stream last week, and last week was officially, as far as we can tell with our maths, our 200th episode. So we're at 201 today.
201. Let's celebrate today, not last week.
Okay.
Just
Yay!
today. Yay.
So thanks everyone for watching. So that's, yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you talked about, I think you talked about the A1 last week, that it's back in stock and selling
Yeah. It's
and
not on
all
fire
that jazz.
anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's good. And you have something new.
We already talked about that too. I think the Hue Forge thing
No,
or the other thing.
no, it's kind of just sitting behind you.
Oh yeah. So I have a K1C sitting here. It's right there. It's right
Now, if
there.
you've been keeping track, we tried the K1 Max.
Yep.
We
And
got a
now,
bamboo over here,
and now we have the K1C.
and then we have a K1C over there.
And
So,
yeah, it's
so you almost have a full set.
spoiler alert. It's good. Um, there is a huge caveat, and it's not just with this printer here. It's with all like performance. I guess you would call them flagship printers. Um, but printers in general, you should always make sure that you use the appropriate printer profile in whatever slicer you choose if you can, right? If you use an Ender 3 profile on this bad boy here,
You will jam it
uh,
real good.
yeah, 3 ways from Sunday, it will stop working. So you want to be careful when it comes to,
And it
um,
did not happen to David, just to be clear.
oh yeah, yeah, no, it's not mine. It's fine. So, any printer you need to match up, especially retractions, was the big thing. Because if you retract too much, you pull into the cold zone of the printer. And in a lot of printers, like the old Ender 3 style, or like a E3D or the V6 kind of hot end with all of his clones, you might get away with it. But like in the new printers that have the integrated heater cartridge and nozzle and like all of that going on, you probably won't get away with it, and you
Yeah,
will end
going
up with
all the
sadness.
way molten material into the gears, not such a great idea.
No, so,
Yeah.
but like a great printer. There is actually news with this printer, that happened. At some point in the last 2 weeks, maybe I want to say I didn't know about it until I looked, but the new version of Creality Studio has come out for Creality printers, which is a direct clone of Bamboo Lab slicer. So that's okay, I guess. So if you're keeping track, Creality's new version of the slicer is based off of Bamboo Labs, which is based off of Prusa's slicer. So we have slicer inception happening there. But it looks exactly like Bamboo Studio when you open it up, and it has profiles in it now for the K2 as well.
Mm.
So and obviously that's why they're doing it, because the multi-material system, is it the KMS? Is that what they called theirs? I think it's the KMS, but whatever they called
Yeah,
theirs,
something like that.
it's coming out too. So that's why the slicer is kind of
Or
updating
was
there.
it the CMS Creality?
Yeah,
Multi.
CMS. That sounds right.
Yeah.
At any rate, their multi-material thing is going to be out, and that's why they updated the slicer, because Kira doesn't have as well. Doesn't support multicolor as well as the bamboo slicer did, because it was made for it. Um,
Yeah.
but also
So
they're
so is
ripping
it
off the bamboo stuff anyway, so why not keep going? Hmm?
so is it based on bamboo or is it based on orca?
So it's based off of Orca, but Orca is
Right.
based off of bamboo. So um, however you cut the pie, it
Oh,
is.
okay.
It is,
Yeah, because
but it
I
doesn't crash your video drivers anymore when you're trying to show it on stream,
that's good. That's good.
right?
I know that bamboo. Speaking of slicers and whatnot, has had some
Not yet,
upgrades.
not yet. Screen capture. See, this is the. I'm just putting a screen capture of the thing up. So this is the Creality slicer, for all of you wondering. So it's a clone. It does have less functionality um, than straight up Orca. They hide some features, but they still have the device tab that's the same, that you can look at your printer inside. There's my printer, right? So, and then the model handling is almost exactly the same as Bamboo. You have object
Nice.
versus global, and away you go. And then you can add more materials up top here. So this is very similar to Bamboo, except, um, you know, it's on the other side. So
It says yeah. They, I think they did put it on the other side because Kira was always on the other side.
yeah, and I think they're trying to keep it. But yeah, you have like tools and all your slicer settings down this way still that you can access,
Yeah,
which is good, and so you do have a little more control. Um, but that's what
I
the
think
slicer
it's going
looks
to be
like.
not as jarring switching to this for people who were using Kira and or the Creality slicer because they tried to keep it somewhat the same.
Oh yeah, this looks really similar. Still to the old version of Creality Slicer. Just with more options, right? That's the big thing. It has multi-plate management. It has a few of the other things. So,
Yeah.
like all in
So
all,
very
an
very
improvement.
bambooish with because they had the multi plate.
Yep, yep.
I don't know if they were first with the multi plate because
Yeah, I don't know.
can you is multi plate in Prusa?
I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know the answer
remember.
to that one. I'm opening Bruce's size or just FYI's right now.
Yeah,
Because I can.
I don't know if it had multi plate or not, but yeah,
I'll look. But uh, there's another topic on Slicer that's the one that Greg has. So, what's doing bamboo, Greg?
well, they have a couple different things. Um, they've obviously they're on version 1.9.1. That's the new final new version.
Mm-hmm.
They have more Maker World integration. I think Maker World you could always jump to it, but now they're integrated, so you can more easily find models and import them. They added multi-device support, so if you have more than one bamboo,
Mm-hmm.
you can manage that. So it makes it a little easier if you're printing multiple projects. You don't have to keep opening
Yeah,
different ones and selecting stuff. So that'll be kind of nice.
and it should be
Uh,
you should just to like to go a little farther on that topic. It's multi-device support on the same project window, like because
yeah,
it's not just switching your printer in the printer tab. Like it's multi-device in the
yeah. You
project.
you can so like this. Think of Print Farm almost because you can actually have like three printers and send the same job to all three printers and then manage them.
Yeah.
So it's
So
it's 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 Print Farm management esque.
it's and it's I will say it's also in Creality Slicer, so
Yeah.
it's a feature that has been
Yeah.
there, you know.
Now they also added where they recognize colors of models. So if you have a colorized model that's in an OBJ, when you import it in, it will recognize the color information, which you don't get from an STL, right? STL you just get triangles and mesh, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with OBJ, you get if there are multiple models or multiple different colored parts, it recognizes each object
Yep.
for the properties it has, which is kind of neat.
Um. Uh.
They,
Just
yeah, go
on the
ahead.
OBJ topic.
Yeah,
I do want to point out, however, that OBJ and 3MF files can contain other items that aren't what you think they are inside of them. So make sure that when you are downloading OBJs and 3MF files, that you are downloading them from a trusted source because they are vehicles of cyber mistrust.
yeah,
Mhm.
zero trust.
Zero
Uh,
trust.
re- Reduced poop option. So this is kind of neat. One of the community members made a tool where basically you retract the filament slightly
Mhm.
and then cut it and then pull it back. So you have the melted filament still in the nozzle, but some of the non-melted material gets pulled back a little ways
Mhm.
and then cut. so that you're reducing the amount of poop. But they're saying this is experimental, warning, because if it gets pulled back too much, obviously it could clog things because you're pulling it back into the cold zone. So
That goes
that's
back to the start.
right, exactly what you're talking about. So painting, they've added more painting features and whatnot. So
And that's good because have you
yeah.
tried to paint in Bamboo Studio?
I did. It wasn't too bad because you could
Hmm.
choose different things, but it's very similar to painting. It was very similar to painting in Prusa. So
Yeah, yeah.
they've updated that. They've added a feature where you can actually make a straight line really easily and paint it on.
I
That's one
mean,
of the that's which apparently was something that people complained about because it was very difficult to do that. So now you can do that.
do a straight line. Nice.
Yeah. Other features, there's a new measuring tool, ways to store calibration settings on the device, crosshatch, infill pattern, and more. So there's lots of stuff. And then not only did they do that,
And
I don't
knowing
know.
them.
Do you want to talk about this next one or?
Yeah, I can kick it off. So it's another thing from Bamboo Studio. Maybe I'll bring it up if I can find which tab I installed it in. But Bamboo Studio or Bamboo Labs, I should say, not Studio, um, introduced basically parametric modeling. Now, if you're not sure what that is, don't worry about it. But basically, the parametric modeling that you can use in Bamboo Studios is very reminiscent, if not a direct copy of kind of like an open SCAD modeling, which is what not Creality, the Thingiverse. Oops, that's my big head. I wanted this one. Yes, perfect. Right every time, everybody. So you can see that it has a bit of you can use their examples to start off with, or you can type in your own variables, but it's all SCAD with the with variables and the settings on this side that follow what you set those variables to on this time. So if I wanted this sign, it has this particular example. It has two layers of words, so you can make them whatever you want. So I will make it hi and Greg. And so then you hit generate, and you can see now I've changed it to hi Greg with a crown, right? And if you search, you can change the special characters on this too. So you can like make it hi Greg with the thumbs up. That's a Greg thing. Thumbs up. I don't know. Yeah. So you can make models how you want them to be made. Is great for things like name tags as an example, but like you can see there's boxes in here too. So you
But
can
you
make
can download so OpenSCAD allows you to download other people's models
Mhm.
if you get the SCAD files and then quickly customize using this tool. You wouldn't have to open SCAD to customize it. You could just quickly use this
You-
tool
yeah,
to
you
make
can
a quick
so you can see
change.
you can click open here and then when it does open you can see it's looking for an SCAD file. So it's a great online SCAD tool is what they've built and I quite enjoy it. I
And
think
they I think they even say that they um, used it from an open source project, right?
mhm. And I mean
So they don't claim to have created this from scratch.
no.
Um, and also like in I think a number of the other features they indicate that we've borrowed these from other slicers, like for example the painting. The feature came from Orca Slicer, which was
Right?
based on Bamboo Slicer,
Yeah.
and so they've actually pulled a feature out of Orca and incorporated it. So that's the nice thing about open source. Like, was it Kira's original tree support, right? They redesigned that, the
Yep.
guy who did it, and and they've incorporated that into Prusa, which then got incorporated into everything else, right?
Well, and like we've
So,
seen that with the Arachne engine as well,
right,
and it's not uncommon. There's actually a really big. I'm gonna switch back to our main window now, but there's actually a really big project right now that's open, that's based off of one of like the biggest open source platforms to happen in the last 3 years for 3D printing. Um, what's the biggest? Now, here's the question. Here's a riddle for Greg because it's not in the show notes. What's the biggest open source 3D project in the last 3 years?
open source 3D project.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Clipper.
Okay, Clipper's a good guess. Why does Clipper exist? What was the project that they basically built Clipper for? Because it was too slow otherwise.
Marlin.
No, Voron.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Voron printers. So, we're talking about open, OpenSCAD here, and other borrowing from open source projects. On that topic, the Sovol SV08, I guess is the actual name of the printer.
Right. Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
Oh, I've seen many things about it and how it's
Oh, the thing is it depends which kit you get, but if you look at the thing, they've used every bit of the Voron
Oh yeah, no, they
template to
don't
build that, and they said that, right?
they
They're like,
don't
yeah,
they don't hide that.
we
But
did.
their version of the hot end is their customized version and
Yeah,
everything. Like all the kinematics, all all the work that the Voron community did, they built upon, right, to make a retail product. So,
and not only did they make a retail product, but like a big. So, what was your Voron? The V0 was like
zero,
$800, maybe. I forget what you paid, but
yeah, I can't
at
remember.
Spool you can get a kit for the Voron Canadian $899. So like American is probably closer to like $600. Um, the big boy Voron kits are like $2,000 up here, right? Like for a 3x3. The Sovol SV1 sells for $700 Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a lot of things at the beginning of printing, like the CR10, CR10S, Enter 3, you could buy it and upgrade it, right?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you just buy like I don't know a P1
Well,
S or a K2
so
or
the answer
something?
to that is the size of the printer. I think that's the only.
Because
So
that one's 300 by 300.
yeah, it's so like it does have a, but at that point, why wouldn't you buy K1
K1
Max?
Max.
Yeah, right. Like it's
So
great. There's
how much is the K1 Max again in Canada?
it goes on sale for around $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So for a couple hundred more, but I don't know. It's you know what? It's I'm not gonna diss it because I don't have one to even try. So
So Sovol send us one over.
um
We'll go through it.
yeah,
That seems
because
fair.
I mean it definitely sounds like they're evolving. I like the competition, right? I think it's good. Like they may innovate to a point where they make changes and make them even quite a bit different than a Voron,
Well,
right?
right, and there's nothing wrong with like an open platform printer. We've had one that's been exploited for like 7 years that has like hundreds of clones. Right,
You
the
mean
Ender
the
3,
Ender?
and like there's nothing wrong with the
We
open
would not be
source.
where we're at now without the explosion of the platform, right? So
Yep.
it's a good thing. Like I'm not going to diss it. Like I mean, um, I'm going to build a Titan.
What's the Titan? Is that the new Voron?
No, it's not new. It's just a different model. It's the one with the lead screws and not the belts.
Oh,
So
okay,
instead
yeah,
of the gantry going up and down, the bed goes down. It's more
yeah. Isn't
traditional.
that the
Like
Trident?
it. Oh yeah, I guess it's a Trident. Why did I
Uh,
say Titan? I don't know.
I mean, it's a T word.
Trident. Yeah.
So like, and I really like the fact that
I like the bed moving down. It just
yeah.
makes sense. It's it harkens back to the Replicator 2, which I got over there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you got your movement and then the bed moves down, so you're minimizing the forces. Um
Mhm.
I mean, having your gantry move up, six of one, half dozen of the other, I guess.
The thing is the
See,
gantry when you drop the bed, like and so like the SX4 that I have, it drops the bed, and I think that's a lot easier for the kinematics in the printer than moving the gantry, right? Because gravity is working with you too
mhm.
when you go down, right?
I,
So
but they both work well.
exactly.
I think the one thing is when your print gantry is all at the same level, you can have the cooling blowing across from the side, the additional cooling that
Hmm.
blows across. So whereas if you have that with the other way, how do you do that?
Yeah, because
Right?
you're
Because your model is always at the bottom and your cooling has to come from the print head.
well, and that's why Voron started using like the CPAP, a high flow stuff with the hose,
Yeah.
um, uh, to like that addresses that issue because then as the gantry moves up, the CPAP's always attached to the hot end and is blowing. But I agree, like the design on the bamboo lab behind you there, or the K1 with that fan on the side that just always blows at the top of the model works way better for cooling
It, I
and
think
it's
it's just
cheaper.
first. I think it depends on the material you're printing, right? Because if you're printing a lot of ABS,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't matter because you're not going to be blowing across your model
Oh,
typically
all the
as
fans
much,
are off.
right? So I could see why, depending on the type of material, that a flying gantry, as Dominic referred to it as,
Mm-hmm.
um,
I
is
like
fine,
it.
right?
TM.
But
Mm-hmm.
but if I'm printing majority of PLA
Yep.
or maybe PETG, and I want that cooling to go across,
Mm-hmm.
I could see the other ones being better for that. So I think it's just personal preference. They both work well. I mean, they design them both. They keep evolving them.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
And again, like it's almost a moot point between the both. I don't know if you saw um, his maker's muse Angus. He hung a bamboo lab from the roof of his garage, like on a rope, and then hit print to prove that
like
like
upside down.
no, it's just like hanging, like normal, and then he hit print just to prove that like the surface your printer on, no matter how much it's wobbly blobbly and whatever, like it doesn't have a lot on effect
It
on
does
print qualities,
well.
and it was funny.
I think now that you've got the shaping and tuning of your like the mass of your printer now
Yeah.
built in, right, where it ramps up and does its thing and whatnot and sends the frequencies through the whole
Hmm.
printer. I think it will have slight effects but very little now, right,
Yeah.
because of that compensation, right? Whereas, if you look at it, a lot of I remember there's the backpack guy that was walking around Earth for Earth, and he had the
Oh,
Delta, and
they
he
were
was
at
right,
Remerth too.
and
Yeah.
right, and he's printing on his back, and
Yeah.
he's printing a model, right? The key is you got to get a good first layer, and you have a stable platform, right? So,
Well, and
um,
and we've said it before, but the platform on a 3D printer is all relative to the 3D printer,
mhm.
right? That's why tramming isn't leveling. You're just tramming to the printer,
You're
and
making everything parallel to each other. I mean, you look at the belt printers; they put them on walls.
yep, which and they work great that way,
Yeah,
right?
and then they just drop off,
Yeah,
right?
and into
So
the bins.
that's something that went away fairly quick, eh?
Belt
Like,
printing, yeah, like so they
I
still do
mean,
use them.
oh yeah,
Um,
but I mean, it's a very specific use case, right? If you want to build your Zelda sword that in one piece,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Great for that. If you want to print 100-foot long girder, great for that.
yeah. Although if you're printing a girder
Uh,
out of 3D
no.
printing material,
I've
I mean,
this guy did it right. That's one of the things he did.
but it
He
wasn't
printed.
functional, was it? Like he just printed it to print it?
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah. It
thought it
was a
was just
small. It
like
was a small girder or whatever.
yeah, I did see the
But it
table
but it
at the
was
shop, Ray.
but it was continuous, right? So
Yeah, Ray says that the K1Cs at the shop are in no way on a sturdy table, and I still, but mine's sitting on a lack table beside me, like which is actually a okay
I've
table.
I've got a solid core door that has right here, and
Yeah,
then it's got like table legs screwed to it, so it's basically a table. But then I have that anchored to the wall, so
table not going very
like
far.
I can't wiggle that at all. Like it's very difficult to, so it's very solid.
I love
But
it.
yeah,
Um, so there is. I've been talking with Ray this week a little bit and researching it a bit too. I rooted my K1C. I haven't installed anything on it yet, so it's still just like kind of like
so did you
base.
root it, or did you just, do you have to do anything to actually root it, or did you just put on the additional software?
So you have to root it. So like on the screen you click the settings gear, and then there's one that says enable root, and you click that and it tells you what the username and password is for the SSH
Okay.
connection.
Okay. So basically they, on the screen, it gives you access to
Turn
the
on
OS
the um
to
well like
SSH in.
yeah, and then once you're there it's a Linux, and then you install the helper script, and then the
Yeah.
helper script
Okay. So it's
can
it's
run
you're
and
not like,
install.
so you're kind of rooting it, but you're not
Well,
like,
I could
it's,
show you if you like.
they no, but they just allow you to do it, right? It's
Creality has a
it's
button
it's
that says please
yeah,
do this,
yeah.
and actually Creality on their website like now, and the reason I'm bringing that up too is there is an update on Creality's firmware to version um was it 3329, I believe is the version number, but like there's actually expert mode now when you update to it, so like
Oh,
it
you
does
so you
unlock
it exposes all the
most
maintail
of them.
settings,
Yeah, but the web page is still locked to like their kind of
the custom.
truncated fluid thing that they did. Um, but
But
like
can you put in add-ins and stuff now? Like
n- not directly. You have to root it still. So like you'd have to
I that it
install
seems
the
it
stuff in
seems
the root.
counterintuitive to me. We have this great product that has all these expansions and whatnot. Like I could understand you having multiple warnings. Like, okay, you can have your custom G code scripts and custom whatever, but you, if something screws up, you're going to have to go back to factory or something to bring it back to normal, because use at your own risk, right?
Well, it does. So Creality does say that there's a when you click the button, you actually have to wait 30 seconds to like click OK, because they expect you to read all this stuff, but what you really do is just wait and then you click OK. But
Did you read it?
I did. And basically it says that we'll cover your hardware still, but anything to do with the software firmware side would not be covered anymore under a warranty,
Right.
which is more forgiving than Bamboo's statement.
Well,
Uh,
but they backpedaled on that though,
they did a
Bamboo,
little bit, but they
because they
didn't
said they were
really.
working with the community so that you can go back and forth between the stuff, but it still, I think it does void your warranty though.
Oh yeah, for sure it does. And uh the routing process on the K1 lets you
Excuse me.
add everything to the printer that you would want. so you can pick your web interface. You can take away the Creality one if you
You can
wish.
you can also back up your printer config.
Yeah, you could back it up either to GitHub or locally. That's up to you.
So that would be interesting just to look at the printer config and see how they have it set up.
It's available in plain text on the GitHub.
Nice.
That it's either on Guluzo's GitHub or Creality's, but you can find it now.
I love how you say that.
I don't know how to say his name. The helper script is the best and most easy way to set it up, and I agree.
Yeah. I think we should do a guide on Kahlua or whatever. Kahlua.
Here's kind
Hey,
of
Gary.
what this is what the Creality one looks like. So once you're in your SSH terminal there, you can kind of I'm just getting it so Greg can see the video. Sorry, guys. there.
I got a little small screen here, which is about
Okay.
the same size as when it's up here.
All right. So this is what the helper script looks like, which is very similar to Kahlua for the Creality stuff. So if you hit 6, you can see what's already installed by default on the printer. So on my K1C right now, here's a shocker. It's running the Creality web interface, right? Which is the Creality print thing. I haven't done anything yet. That was a today project after the lawnmower and the other stuff. So it's pretty easy though. I can hit 1 and then you can see what you can pick. You have to install Moonraker. You can pick Fluid or Mainsail or both, but don't do both because this thing doesn't have a lot of horsepower.
It doesn't have Moonraker by default?
No, it doesn't need to use the Moonraker API with the Creality print. Whatever they've done to it doesn't have Moonraker.
That's interesting because I thought the whole point of Moonraker was it's an API to talk to Clipper.
Right.
So they must have bastardized it somehow.
Yeah, and I don't know what they did behind the scenes. Like it could be Moonraker. Maybe it's just like a Moonraker light version, right?
Creality Raker.
But yeah, so like there's lots of stuff. Obviously, I'm going for Camp Brain. I talked about that earlier, but yeah, Camp is going to be
what's
sure.
Camp?
Clipper adaptive meshing and purging. So that's the one that where if you do when you print your model, it'll adaptively mesh to the size of the model instead of the whole bed and that kind of thing.
So you basically you probe around where the model is going to print.
Yeah. So all of this stuff is
I like. Well, that's
so it should be right.
Yeah, that's the way that I like that a lot.
And then here's one for Greg. Screw tilt and adjust support.
No, tilt is good,
right? And like you look at the printer and you go, but this only has one tilt, and you're like, yeah, it does. So it might not be as useful to install that one. I can't remember on the K1 if it had more lead screws.
How many lead screws are on that one? Only 2?
This one has 3, I think. Hold
on. Okay, well that can do.
So yeah, then you could do tilt.
Well, it depends, right? Because are they 3 independent? Then you could do tilt. If there's 3 and they're connected with a belt,
if I remember correctly, they're connected with a belt underneath, and it's 1. But
so I've seen where they'll do that, and then when it goes down to the bottom, like it basically, self aligns at the bottom because like it's about if the belt had needed to slip or whatever it could, and then
and I think that might be their idea.
I don't know.
I have seen it open, and
I've never opened the bamboo. I've never opened the bamboo, so I can't tell you that it has independent.
But then like get backup support, that's good, I guess. I don't use it on any of my other Clipper stuff.
So I don't use the automated backup, but I do take a copy of the printer config off each of my printers and store it in OneDrive.
Yeah,
so,
and
because once you get all the boards and everything else, the other thing I got when I ordered this from Spool
Never heard of
is
them.
this
Hold,
is a
hold on,
CAN
you're really
bus.
small.
This is a
Okay, now you're
CAN
big.
bus board.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm going to be I've been learning more about CAN and whatnot. So I want to set up CAN, and we have a printer at the office. It's the Creality
What is that thing
CR10
called?
Max,
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. The big,
which never worked great.
and then
so
it just never worked.
so what I'm going to propose is put a CAN board on it because it had a ribbon cable going up to control the. So I'm thinking we're gonna do it with a CAN, and then have a Pi Zero built in and everything, and run Clipper on it.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. It's when you can replace, and that's the beauty of CAN, right? You can replace a lot of,
Four wires.
yeah.
Four
You can
wires.
replace a lot of stuff, and it becomes a lot cleaner to do
Yeah.
modification and maintenance and
Well, they had
um
a customized board. They had a ribbon cable, and the from the motherboard, it had a customized ribbon going from the board. So it was really hard to break it out, and then you could break it out to another. It was
and I think the breakout on that one, if I remember correctly, was attached to the side of
yeah,
the
kind of by
extra
the
entry.
yes, and
Yeah.
so that would be a good spot to put a clipper board, and
Yeah.
then you've got a more simplified setup. So, um, actually, was it Teaching Tech? He had a direct drive on his, so he actually used two clipper boards to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we can get away with one.
I mean,
We'll see.
we can get away with a lot.
We'll see.
The But as we move forward, we'll do Kaiua, Kaiya.
Okay.
We'll show you how that all works.
Yeah, that'll be an actual video.
And then we'll show you how to do it with
Now that we've learned a lot about Clipper, and we did our some of our primer on Clipper. I think we both understand Clipper a little bit better, and that's a really good way to get the features you want without I think more efficiently setting up Clipper. Like you're not doing a whole bunch of weirdness. The tricky part is still the printer config, because you really have to know your printer and what boards and whatnot that you have in order to set it up right. So that you really, as long as Clipper is not for the first time printer owner unless it comes factory with Clipper. If you're converting it, you do need to really understand the mechanics or the kinematics of your printer.
Right. And I agree. Like, and we've said this before, and we'll say it again now, just because, like, when you get a new printer, whether that's a Bamboo Lab, a K1, or an Ender 3, just use the dang printer. Like, don't try to root it and then and change the.
You just rooted yours. You barely used it.
I use the K1 Max. It's the same thing. But like I know exactly what I'm doing too, right? Like
that's true.
The thing is like if you get a new piece of hardware, the first thing you don't want to do with it would be like screw with the firmware. It would be like buying a brand new car and then you're just gonna change out the exhaust and like all of the engine.
People do that
like,
though. People do that. They'll buy a car, they'll lower it, they'll do a whole bunch of stuff right to it. They won't just drive it because they have another goal in mind with it,
right.
So.
And my goal, honestly, the only thing I really care about with this routing that I want to do on it is I want to have mainsail for the camera, right?
I totally support you rooting it though,
yeah.
David. I'm just teasing.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I have a goal, and my goal is to add it to my phone without the Creality Cloud, right? Because I have an app that's actually really good for
What's the app
print
called again?
farm management. It's called the Octo app. It's on iPhone. There's a free version. I spent money on it, but like it works very well. It's a good um it's a good tool on your phone to manage like a whole print farm.
Nice.
And it works with Octoprint or Clipper. So if you have a if I for a day when I still had Octoprint running, I used it, and then now it's just all Clipper.
For a day.
Well,
You
everything
know,
was
you know,
switching.
I I've got I don't think I think I have Octoprint on one printer. That's my daughter's because her printer is stock and everything. So I don't I you know
Mm-hmm.
I don't want she wants to learn one way of doing it and just be able to use it when she needs it. So
Well, and again, that goes back to use the dang printer. Because
Mhm.
everybody has a reason, right? Like, so, like for example, if you run a print farm, there's a huge advantage to having like a main build of the control, either fluid or mainsail.
If you could just switch your hardware out and keep going,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everything's the same on the same version, then any bugs that show up is same across the board, so you can deal with it easier.
Yeah, and always have one that does the bugs first. Only
Mhm.
do right. Have the canary, and then if the canary dies, roll back the canary. Although
Sure.
in that example, you can't roll back a canary because the canary would no longer be alive.
Hmm. If you need a canary, then you have to get a coal mine.
But what if you want a live canary? Man, this is welcome to the canary. Welcome
Spiraling
to the
down.
canary stream, everybody. I'm glad you could make it.
I don't think there was anything else specific on our little list of things. Oh yeah, we were going to briefly talk about something, but we should do something first before we talk about the next something.
Sure, I'll push the button. Go for it.
We want to thank all these wonderful people, Hilch at the top and everyone else on the list. You guys rock. Without you guys, we can't do what we do. We really enjoy spending our time chatting with you on Sundays, and then we know summer's coming up and everything, but you can still communicate it with us, especially if you're part of our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com, you can join us on Discord, as any level will get you access to our Discord, and we have awesome conversations and keep up with what you guys are doing there and everything. So thank you so much. Everything else is at 3dmakeit.ca.
Very nicely
So,
done. Very nicely
but
done.
I think we want to talk about something colorful.
I don't know what you're talking about, so you're gonna
Maybe
have to be
some
more
shades or
specific.
hues of something.
We already talked about that last week. I clicked the buttons
Did
and everything.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
He's
we
talking.
briefly
Spoiler
we were
alert.
talking we were
He's
talking about it earlier, so I thought we were going to also talk about it, but I guess not.
so
Hue
he.
Forge.
Yeah, and so we talked about it last week a little bit. I bought it. I showed it off on the stream a little bit. I will say, and I think I might have talked about it, but at Remurf, for Hue Forge, they did release. It's called the TD1. I think it was by Ajax. It was is the dude's name that came out with it. But what the TD1 does is it lets you take a piece of normal filament, stick it into the TD1 box, and it references the colors for you, so you can add a filament that's not already in the big library of HueForge, and then it tracks the transmission distance so that it knows how to actually layer the colors properly in the print. So I'm not sure if we talked about that one last week. That's available as well. If you join his Patreon, you get free access to like the open source stuff that you would need to
Cool.
source out and get it. It said $10 on, so maybe,
I
or you
want
can buy it as well.
I'm looking forward to your first print with it. I want to
Yeah, me
see
too.
what you can do.
I'm going to again do some fun stuff, but for you following at home, remember that HueForge does have samples available, and I want to say it's on printables is where they put them. So if you go to printables, HueForge themselves have actually like put out files that they've sliced as demo files, so that you can basically like try the process before you buy it. Um, and there are other people that have posted a few like models on Thingiverse available to you as well, that you can try. Now, you have to remember that these models that you are trying, um, they're already pre-configured, right? So your slicer will have to be able to parse like color and such,
Right.
because they're pre-configured files. The HueForge ones um, are easily accessible and great to demo. Um, let's see, yeah, printables.com. So they've posted the man in the space suit. Here, hold on. David screen capture again. Bop, did it. So they've posted this man in a space suit readily available for you to try. And here's the model files. So there's some different
And did they
heights
tell
and
you what
such.
colors of filament you need?
Nope. That's the quick answer. But there is a description, and it shows in here what you need to do, and it tells you where the layer swaps are. So the first swap is at layer 8. You're going from black to a darker color, then you're going from a darker color to a lighter color, and then you're going from a lighter color to white. So it's 4 colors to print the spaceman, and you can pick the colors. And here's where you would, so like in your slicer, if you were to download this model, first off, you're printing at 0.08 layers with the 0.16 first layer. So you have to program all that into your slicer, right? And then 100% infill, and then it will start printing the model. And this is something that we were talking about before, I think, but you can really see it in hopefully it works. Sometimes their modeler doesn't work for me. There it is. So it's not flat, and this is something we were talking about before the stream. Is you can see that the print is not flat, and it's by printing up these layers and building on top of them with different colors, you get like that astronaut in the end. So if you wanted to check it out, I think it's Steve from HueForge is the
That's
guy.
cool.
And I think he has a few. Yeah. So there's a few different. So there's a row or a peony, I guess it is. And then there's a coin and a few other prints that you can give it a try with. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's a lot of models people have made on printables as well with HueForge, but they leave out where to put the layer changes.
Well,
So
that's no good.
right, and to like there could be a
Well,
lot of layer changes as well, right? Depending on how
right.
complex um the project is. And yeah, it just, so if you multiple AMSs would let you print up to 8 colors. A lot of people are printing 4 and just blending them, right? So, and again, I know we talked about a little about it last week, so we don't have to go into huge detail, but this might be a thing that is video worthy as well. And it came out, it's not super new, but like I think this is like a September-ish release of the software. So it's still kind of the new kid on the street. So
It's still pretty. It's pretty cool.
yeah, and like Greg and I were talking before too. It has 2 modes. One is like it's a painting you hang it on the wall mode. The other one is you plan to put a light behind it.
Yeah.
And
So
and
it's kind of a lithophane
yeah,
ish.
adjacent thing. And HueForge does both of those. You just have to set one front light or backlight depending on what your preference is. And they have really good examples on their website of how to like configure the colors and the picture how you like it before you print it. So it's a really
Nice.
cool piece of software, and you don't lose. I mean, you do spend money on it, but as soon as you spend money, like I got a $25 coupon to Polymaker's store, and then free shipping. So basically, I got my money back because I got a spool of filament, which was
Right?
great. So, but I
You got to
believe
spend
my
money to make money.
yeah, you sure do. I believe, though, this brings us to the end for today, my
It does. It
friends.
does. So, just heads up to everyone. We'll still have some shows for that. We got to do our Patreon live stream, and
Hmm.
then June gets kind of busy, but we'll still have shows through June. But then July and August gets kind of sketchy because it is summertime, and we've got holidays and all that. So, um,
We're
just be
coming up
aware
on the
that
time, yeah.
yeah, be aware that coming up we'll have less content because of summer. So yeah.
He's telling the truth, I swear. But anyway, thank you all for coming today. It's been a pleasure hanging out. And until next week, my friends, we will see you later.
What's a
Ray.
holiday?
Ha ha ha.
But
Okay, I have to stay for that comment. Let me explain how holidays work. I had holidays this week, right?
you
No.
still worked.
Yeah, I worked.
You
So,
got you got rained on by sewage.
that's not the work I'm talking about. It is real work, not poopy work. Anyway, we'll catch you guys later, and have a good week.